Welcome. Okay, so I am going to. Okay, the numbers is rolling in. We have 7 yeses, 4 nos. This is very interesting. You guys are not alone. I definitely had to do some research for this topic. So join in. It's going to be a great topic. We are going to be asking 3 questions. But let me get my guests into the box. Queen Lola, you can re-request it. How does this work with that? 7 and 5. Okay, yeah, I love this. So I guess we kind of have to wait. Emoji J, are you ready? Seven yeses, 5 nos. It's a great mix tonight. I guess we have to wait for the poll to be over before we can request the box. Okay, there we go. Mia, I see you. Lola, if you're here still, please request the box. And the rest of my guests, please request the box too. I've been waiting for this topic. Welcome, Lola. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Okay, let me get us started with this really quick. Oh, okay, that's Nataki right there. Okay, I see you. Hi, Queen. Hold
Hey.
on. Hello, Mia.
Present. Hello.
Hello.
I love it here.
We love you here.
I'm so excited for this
topic. Okay, guys. New name, but same thing. Welcome to Truth or Theory, formerly known as Theory Thursdays. We do this every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. This is a safe space where we think differently, we dive deep, and we question everything in a fun and curious way. Tonight's topic is deep, but don't worry. We're going to keep it fun, curious, and judgment-free. We're going to dive into shadow work. It's the process of understanding the hidden parts of ourselves that we usually avoid with the general public. We have 3 guests who will be answering 3 correlating questions to tonight's theory. Our lovely co-host Lola will give us more details and tips based on the questions we ask. And we will also play a game throughout the show that everyone in the stream is invited to play. Okay, so now that everyone is in the box, welcome Royalty, welcome Mia, welcome Nataki. Thank you all so much for being here. We are going to start it off with Lola going a little bit deeper into like what is shadow work for those of us who voted that we've never heard of it.
What was our poll results? We had how many people, or what was the percentage of people that had not heard of shadow work before? Did we grasp that?
So it was 7 people who have heard of it and 5 people who haven't.
All right, so let's get into it then. What is shadow work? So based on Carl Jung's idea of the shadow self, it's talking about the unconscious parts of us that we may reject, deny, or hide. And that could be things like jealousy, insecurity, anger, things kind of along the lines of that. It's not about shame, it's about integration. So essentially owning those parts of us so that they don't control us. And then the second point would be like, where exactly does the shadow show up? This I know that a lot of people will be able to resonate with. We have what's called triggers where they might pop up. Sometimes it can manifest through jealousy or judgment of others, self-sabotage, or repeating patterns, as well as overreactions or guilt that seems to linger. That's all the ways that the shadow can show up, and probably a lot more. A lot of them are pretty, they're like synonyms of each other. They kind of stem off of each other. Why does all of this matter? It matters because once you are in tune and I can identify and work with your shadow self, it will help you to understand your own patterns and then to grow more emotionally. It's also going to help you to create better relationships, first with yourself and then subsequently with others. And it also matters because it's going to help you build that, again, self-compassion, and then you'll begin to start to dive into the different components of emotional intelligence. So that's what shadow work is. The whole premise and the idea of dealing with the parts of yourself that you may have pushed aside in one way or another, all the areas where the shadow actually shows up, and then why it's really important. Or maybe that's me. Is it me? I have a fan as well. I'm sorry.
Is it me?
I don't know who it is. It's somebody.
Is that
Let
better?
me see. It might be me.
Is that better? It might have been mine.
We still here.
It's hot, guys. But I turned it away. Hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. But those are the three main talking points for what is shadow work. Is everybody kind of on the same page about that? For those who know what it was, anybody who didn't know, does that kind of make sense to you about what shadow work actually is? Good. Making sense? Making sense? Okay, good. Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for sharing that. So basically, we are, tapping into healing the parts of ourselves that we usually would, not expose in front of other people. It's the darker parts of ourselves, acknowledging the darker parts of yourself. I love that. That was well said, Blue. So welcome to Truth or Theory. For those of you that are just tuning in, this happens Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is a safe space where we think differently, we dive deep, and we question everything in a fun and curious way. We are going to move into the first question of the night, which is, what is something that used to trigger you, but now you see it differently? We will start with Nataki, work our way through Mia, and Royal for this section. The question again, what is something that used to trigger you, but now you see it differently?
Okay. Hey, everybody. So not feeling like I was enough I used to be a real big trigger for me. And I think it stemmed from just childhood trauma. But now I see that, when I'm not included in things or it's not that I'm not enough, it's more maybe time to stop and reset, take the silence as a pause to do some inner work, and figuring out what exactly I need to work on to better myself. So, yeah.
I love that. What about you, Mia?
Yeah, so the way that I want to answer this question is also to acknowledge like another part of shadow. Shadow isn't just the darker parts of yourself. According to Carl Jung's definition, it's the parts of ourselves that we don't identify with or we have swept under the rug. So it's not only the darker parts, it's not things like jealousy, anger, and power. It's also things like your light and how amazing you are. So I'm going to go that route. Something that used to trigger me was like if I, saw on a movie or a TV show or some really confident person who is like the star, that used to trigger me and make me feel like, oh, well, what's wrong with me? Or why am I not good enough? Or maybe I'm not cool enough. But one of my favorite simple mantras with shadow is, if you spot it, you got it. So if you are seeing someone who you admire, and you're thinking like, oh, I could never be that. If you spot it, you've got it. So I've learned now to be inspired by people who I admire or people who I think are on a higher level than me or whatever you want to call it. Um, I use that to empower me versus before it used to disempower me and make me feel worse about myself and wonder what's wrong with me, which is not a good use of anyone's time.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Okay, Royalty, what is something that used to trigger you, but now you see it differently?
For me, I think I have to be always being compared to others. So, say I was able to do something that somebody else wasn't, and they of course blow up on me about it. It's like, yeah, Royalty get to do this and do that. He get to stay out all night if he wanted to, but I can't. And it's always an argument, and I'm always the main subject of that argument, even when I don't want to be. And I feel like I'm just regular. I ain't doing nothing special. Ain't nothing crazy happened. I don't understand why I'm the one being able to do anything. So now I just look at it as that's kind of life. You're always going to be compared to somebody or something, or you're always going to compare yourself to somebody or something.
Thank you for sharing. Going to the comments, I did see King Diablo mentioned being talked over used to trigger you. Yeah, that I had a bad problem with that too. Then I had to learn that that same passion and intensity that I feel for my comments and my opinions, everyone, well, a lot of other people are feeling that same type of intensity and passion for what it is that they're saying. So now these days, I typically take as long as it's respectful, I take the occasional someone talking over me as oh, I'm really excited to be in this conversation. Lola, what's something, do you want to answer this? What's something that used to trigger you? Okay, but now you see it differently.
Mine was my parenting. I started very young. And of course, I think I knew I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just very prideful in my pursuit and trying to be so different than my parents. I didn't want to hear nobody tell me nothing about how to do it. So it was just weird to put myself in that space. Like, you don't know what you're doing, but you don't want to listen to anybody because it felt like a personal attack, and if anybody's ever been a teen parent, it's really hard to just wrap your emotions around how much your life changes. And so I struggled with that all the way up until like maybe a handful of years ago. It was not that long ago before I started looking at it different, saying like, okay, you've grown, you evolved, and even accepting it for people who aren't parents. People still can give me some insight about development and about, life and skills and techniques to help me be a better parent. And so, yeah, it doesn't trick me that much anymore. I definitely lean more into the village mentality, but I used to be horrible. Like, I was awful, not wanting to hear anything from anybody. So that used to be a trigger.
No, yeah, I can relate to that in a way or two. Something that used to really trigger me though, and now I see it completely different, is criticism. I used to become so defensive over my art and my ideas and my opinions. And now I've grown to the space to where I am like actively seeking constructive criticism, right? Like I'm actively seeking it in most of the areas where I'm open about my life. I appreciate it and I see it as a way to help me grow. I understand about the evil eye, but for the most part, I feel like the energy I put out. So most people I speak to will have good intentions because I'm coming from a place with good intentions. So I just have to view it as a learning curve, you know? Um,
Absolutely.
So we're going to play just 2 parts. The game that we will be playing throughout tonight is called Own It or Deny It. Own it or deny it. Really simple. Okay, guys? So Lola and I will take turns reading statements. There is no judgment here. If it's you and you want to call yourself out about it, just put A, nothing else. And if you feel like it doesn't relate to you, put B, okay? So the first one is you pretend to agree with people just to avoid conflict. Then you secretly stay upset. Your shadow side is saying keep the peace on the outside, but we're gonna rage on the inside. So do you pretend to agree just to avoid conflict, but then secretly stay upset? I'm gonna say B.
Guilty
I'm
for
gonna say
sure.
B.
Oh,
Yeah, I give it to you clear. Okay, I love that though. I love the difference.
That's crazy.
I love that. But no, that shows. Okay, I wasn't supposed to go into this detail, but I'm gonna say it really quick. I'm gonna make it fast. I genuinely feel like a lot of people do just, oh, okay, or yeah, you're right, just to sweep stuff under the rug and just to move on. And I get it. I get both sides of it. So the second one for own it or deny it that I'm gonna say now is, if I love harder, maybe they'll stay. Do you overgive in relationships and then feel resentment when it's not returned? Yeah, I'm gonna say A.
Guilty
I
again.
definitely am working on not overgiving, guys. Like I will definitely do that.
That's a hard
And
one.
then like, well, dang, I'm really just looking for somebody to match my energy. Okay.
That is
Thank you
a
guys for
hard
asking.
one, but it looks like I shout out to the people that said nah, because maybe you can help us. With that
hard work.
My cup. You don't get from my overflow. I'm not even from my.
Like I said, I wasn't
you
always right
know,
there.
it's something to perfect. So I appreciate that. But
Yeah.
It took a lot of work. We weren't always there, right? We weren't
Right. That part. It takes a lot of work.
Let me get some water.
last night. No, I'm just kidding.
Absolutely.
Like 10 minutes ago.
Everyone that is here, everyone that's in the comments, welcome to Truth or Theory. We are here on Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a safe space where we think differently. We dive deep and we question everything in a fun and curious way. Tonight's topic, we've been going deep about shadow work, but we're keeping it fun, curious, and judgment-free. So we were talking about the process of those hidden parts, the parts of ourselves that sometimes we avoid, or like Mia was saying, we're not in tune with. And and tonight we're asking we reduce it down. We have like 3 questions tonight to dive into in our game that we've been getting into, to be very transparent about some of our aspects that have triggered us. Okay. And so that's kind of what we want to talk about next is the triggers. Okay. And if I know if anybody's like me, a lot of this terminology just kind of I learned through social media. Like I think we knew what it was, didn't know what it was called. So you know, what are triggers, right? Triggers are often a reflection of, again, the parts of us that we haven't fully like faced or haven't healed. I always look at it as like even like pain, or the example that Spirit gives me a lot is like a car and your lights that come on in the dash. when something's wrong, because we're operating a machine and we don't always know. So the gas light has to come on to let us know that it's about to run out of gas. The oil light comes on to let us know that you know what I'm saying? So that's the same way that triggers can appear, okay? So some examples, like if you're feeling ignored, you know, it might not just be annoying. It might stir up like a really past feeling of being overlooked by, you know, whoever raised you, a parent or a partner, a friend. It could go, you know, as deep as into childhood when we talk about those traumas or those wounds that we may face. And then it manifests later on as this particular triggers. So there's those emotional echoes that show us where that pain is. That's where we need to go back, and that's what we need to work on, okay? Not necessarily to punish us, but to bring it up to the surface so we know. Because again, like the machine, how will we know unless the trigger is flashed through to let us know that, hey, this is where the issue is. So the trigger is that teacher, okay? It points to those unmet needs or those was a 0 to 10 person for sure. Especially with that parenting thing that I was talking about. I'd be like, what are you talking about? And I would just want to go off on somebody instead of understanding that it was really showing me what I needed to work on. So it's good to try to take that pause if you can to ask yourself, like, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Like, why is it coming up? Okay, because like with the car again, some little indicators I ain't never seen. I gotta go to the manual and figure out, what does this mean? How do I get to it? What do I do? And then what, you know, it could be fear-based. What am I afraid of right now? Why is this rising up in me in that type of way? Because sometimes it could make you feel angry even. So it's always good to try to take the moment to step back to ask those questions before you respond so that you're not reactionary. You know, it could be covering up, again, fear. You know, the root of something is not all, it doesn't look the same as the top. So we're gonna have to really, you know, uncover, what is it? Is it sadness, you know, that's showing up different? Is it, you know, silence that we're projecting from feeling rejected or something like that? So it's definitely, the triggers are those signals, and it could be an indicator of so much, but you definitely need to take the time to slow it down so that you can figure out what's really the issue and not what solely is on the surface. How's that sound? Everybody feeling like they can resonate with that as far as triggers are concerned? I think I know a lot of people that reject the idea just because it's called a trigger. They don't even want to, you know, own the fact that, yeah, it's an uncomfortable thing. But I think we all go through it, you know, all the time.
People have a problem with the word trigger. I like to use the word activated. Something is activated with me. And I also want to make the point that triggers are not shadows. Triggers can point you to what the shadow is, but it's not the shadow. But yeah, if you don't like the word trigger, I'll tell people, especially like in a relationship, I'll be like, I am activated right now.
I'm feeling activated.
Can we do some
activated? Thank you.
I'm activated.
Absolutely. That's why I use the example of the car. That's why I use the example of the car, because when the indicators are coming on, it doesn't mean go get a new car. It just means, you know what I'm saying? Just try to
car is triggered right now.
Take it to the chop shop. No, you just might have to tinker with it. You might have to figure out what's going on, because essentially what is a shadow? A shadow is the result of this object blocking the view of the light. It's going to be your perception, your perspective is going to, and sometimes it could be illusion based, because my shadow is a part of me. It's not me. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's a part that is blocked from the light. And then I have to go there willingly in the darkness that the shadow casts to be able to deal with what what's there. So I love that Mia is helping to kind of balance all that out. So because a lot of people you hear shadow or you hear darkness or you hear triggers and you look at the negative connotations and you're scared to go there.
Go there, it's fun there. That's where all the power.
Oh, I love this.
All right. So do we want to own it or deny it real quick?
Yeah, let's own it real quick. We do got a few great comments I do want to mention really quick. I do see Cure. We find it easier to just label things, feelings, emotions, and reasons for why we aren't where we want to be.
Eliseo.
We have to be the way. We have to be the way. Resting bitch face. Oh, I'm not supposed to cuss. Rather than going deeper and within. Yes. Mia, well said. Easier to blame the external to avoid the responsibility of the internal. Thank you. You got 5 seconds to get out of my face mode activated. You guys are ready.
That's hilarious.
I definitely think another round of Own It or will go nice before we dive into question 2.
All right. So here we go. So own it or deny it. Again, we're A or B. So for the first one is pushing people away just to see if they will come back. Almost like your shot is saying like you're trying to get them to prove their loyalty. Do you do that, A, or don't do that, B?
Y'all got me with that one. Y'all got me.
Feels like never have I ever.
Right? Oh,
B,
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Mia, was Mia the only A?
No judgment.
Okay.
We're owning it. No judgment.
No, it's okay. Go out with
Listen.
your
No,
We listen and don't judge.
no judgment at all. All right. So that was a no for most of us. How about this one? You want to be chosen, but never actually put yourself out there. Like just expecting people to just know, like I'm that person.
Are we talking
You do
before or
that, A,
after
or
my
you
I
don't?
did used to be. I really did used to
I
be
think
that,
it
but
depends
now
on the
I'm like,
situation.
I just. Are we talking before or after 2005? We're talking about recent. We're talking about
That's what I'm saying.
2025. This year.
Oh.
How are you this year? Because we know you've overcame some things, right? You've done a lot of shadow work, and I know that. I don't know if you guys understand like basement versus balcony, but I feel like Mia, you give energy that you are shining in your balcony. Like you're not really hiding things from the public. You're glowing and you're owning it. I love that. So we're talking about recently.
But I do agree. I think it can be circumstantial with that one because you know sometimes there is certain spaces where it can be felt, where people do already know, and some people kind of play with it. Other times, it's like you do have to be honest to be able to say that in order for people to recognize me, I have to be showing up as my whole self.
Yeah.
I agree to disagree because it's been times when I've been down and out, but I've been wearing a mask, and people will tell me that they would never have guessed that I was going through what I was growing through, right? And because the way I carry myself, a lot of people that have personally told me that they would have never guessed, and it's really just based off of that energy I project. We're actually going to talk about this a little later, but yeah, it's not that always for me.
Those were good. Those were good.
I'm gonna plug the show, and then we're gonna move on to question 2. Thank you everybody that is interacting and answering. Welcome to Truth or Theory. Every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is a safe space where we think differently, we dive deep, and we question everything in a fun and curious way. Tonight's topic is deep, but don't worry, we're keeping it fun, curious, and judgment-free. We have a total of 3 questions. Right now, we are moving on to question 2, which is if your shadow self had a nickname or a vibe, what would it be? If your shadow self had a nickname or a vibe, what would it be? Okay, we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna start with Mia and then Nataki and then Royalty.
You know, when I hear that question, I'm like, which one, girls? Because we
Right.
got
That
a
part.
committee. We got a committee. Okay.
It's a whole community.
You got Petty Betty. You got my inner mean girl. You got my critical parent. We got the angry one. I don't know. She should even have a name.
Angry one.
It's a committee.
It's not a one size.
It's a party.
Yeah, it's a whole.
But I did say I am the shadow queen. I said that because I really love this topic, and it's very misunderstood. It's very deep. It requires a lot of like practice and study. And a lot of people are afraid of it because we don't want to go into the darkness, even if it is a good thing that we're promoting. It's very uncomfortable, but that's where all the good stuff is.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Alicia.
We all know that's where the good stuff is. That's where the deepest your pleasures and powers are. So let's call her the Shadow Queen.
Okay, I love that. Shadow Queen.
Persephone.
Shadow
I
Queen.
came up with the name.
It sounds so alluring.
Right there on the fly.
It sounds
Oh
like
my
it's so fun in her shadows. Okay, so I was dancing between 3. The family synopsis was Triggered Tasha, but I was between Bossy Bree.
Trigger Tasha has me in tears.
So the family said definitely it's Trigger Tasha. But I decided to go with Defensive Dahlia.
Wait, the festive what?
Defensive
Dahlia. Because
okay.
you know, the flower is like covered in thorns and all of that, but underneath it's super soft. Just want to be seen and loved. And Defensive Dahlia is, I think she's present more so current in 2025 than Trigger Tasha or Bossy Bree, you know. Yeah. So yeah. So that's what we're gonna name her.
I like them all.
A committee too. We could all go to the cookout.
I got a committee. I'm telling you, it could have been like 6 names. I just gave the top 3. Like,
oh my goodness, I loved that. Hi, Stud Barbie. Hi, Clemmy. Okay, Royalty. If your shadow self had a nickname or a vibe, what would it be?
I think I got 2. So I think the first one had to be the Unknown Storm. Because at this point, it's like you never know. You really never know.
That's dangerous.
Proceed with caution.
It is kind of dangerous. Not also to me, but to everybody around me. So.
I mean,
really
that's
good.
sure.
Oh, I love these names.
You just never know. And then the second one, I had to be the Phoenix, because it's
The Phoenix.
a death and rebirth type of situation when it comes to shadow work, emotions, you know, just how everything plays out. So
yeah.
I love that. Thank you guys.
They're very intriguing.
It's like 5
Lola,
people.
if your shadow self had a nickname or a vibe, what would it be?
So believe it or not, that is Lola. That is the shadow self. Because it's my birth name is something different. Lola is derived from family nickname and just kind of different stages of who I evolved into as I got older. I'm such a creative being. It's so much a part of me that I embraced that over my birth name. And, Lola has gone through so much transformation. So that it actually is Lola. The vibe,
Yeah.
the vibe is just because I'm a herbalist, so I that's kind of where it sits. But that's definitely her. It's not hard to explain. I turned it into an acronym after a couple years of doing music, where Lola stands for Live Out Loud Authentically. And me saying that helps me to remember to do that, basically. Because sometimes I live out loud, but it was a lot of times where I wasn't being authentic though. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's my shadow self is actually Lola.
Yeah, I love that. For me, my shadow self definitely would be Rebel Rose, wanting to, beat any statistics placed against me type of vibe. Like, you can't put me in a box. Like,
Gangster, y'all.
Rebel Rose. You cannot put me in a box. Like, you thought you knew me, but I'm gonna show you. Like, Rebel Rose on my team.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely Rebel Rose. But ultimately, just seeking freedom and truth. The rebel in me is there to help guide me and not, feel like I have to walk on eggshells throughout my life. So I appreciate Rebel Rose. You cannot put me in a shadow. You can. I'm learning that it's about that duality. I am like, it's definitely there. Like, Rebel Rose is there. I try to keep her tamed, unless it's just okay. Take over the show. When she takes over the show, everybody just chill. Okay, just chill.
Absolutely. It's a good thing, because giving your shadow a name or personality does help to make it less scary and more familiar, as we were talking in the beginning about being in tune with it. Pretty much everything in creation, once it has a name, it just feels more real. And so we already kind of talked about it, and that's exactly, everybody was kind of on point with how, it could be as loud or as silent, and everybody's names were, really, even with the explanations, were really indicative of, again, seeing themselves maybe where they started, what they're evolving into, or what they are in the present moment. And so all those examples were great. We're, settling on the fact that it's that version of you that may have also been formed to protect you. Something that came to mind as I was looking at the talking points was like shade. Like, that's also a shadow. And so, like, you go to shade when you're hot, for some type of relief. So just continuing to try to remind ourselves that the shadow is not something to run away from, but sometimes we got to run to the shadow, so to punish you, but definitely to protect you in some ways, especially when we're dealing with those childhood things. Sometimes that's exactly where you need to go, in those dark places. So yeah, that feels real good. Are we owning it and denying it again? It's so funny when we get to this point, because I feel like
I love it. I'm here for it. Guess, do you guys want to do another segment of Own It or Deny It?
Yep.
Okay, we got two more that we can throw at you right now. Okay. So again, A is going to be for the shadow, which is agree, yes. B is going to be for no. You pretend that you're fine because vulnerability makes you feel weak. Oh, Jesus. Oh my God.
I'm back up, y'all. I'm back up.
That's oh my gosh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I am not fine.
No, I am so quick to tell people that. So that way, when I do, if I do spaz, not when I do, if I do spaz, it's
Right.
like it didn't come from nowhere. Like I'm very great at letting it be known. Like, no, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I need some space. No, I'm aggravated, irritated, whatever it is, I speak it. So that way, even speaking it, I kind of feel a little bit better, but I do. I love my spontaneous crash outs.
Man,
I let it
vulnerability is so challenging for me sometimes. I'm so vocal, but I may not be, I may say I'm fine just because I'm I call myself trying to protect other people from what I'm feeling. And then that ends up me denying how I truly feel. It's like this whole backwards thing. It's really crazy. Okay.
Life is crazy.
It really is. The next one.
Underneath that is the shadow. If there's something that you don't want people to see, because it's not the vulnerability that's the problem, it's the thing that you don't want them to know.
Yeah, whatever it is, you're right.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That was good. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So the next question is, you love giving advice, but hate being told what to do.
I think everybody.
Honest about it.
All right, whatever.
Some people think this is a setup. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like that was a personal attack on myself. Like what? What?
But here's the thing: consent is very important. Something that is triggering for me is unsolicited advice.
Okay.
Yeah, very well said.
Like, am I ready to hear it? Open? Can I suggest something? Like, just ask the question.
Yeah, ask. It don't take much. I appreciate that.
True. So a lot of people were saying,
I'm a switch.
If I feel secure, then I'll take the advice. Like if I can trust where the advice is coming from. But yeah, and that unsolicited thing is huge.
That part.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that could, that's what would make it circumstantial, like depending on who or when or that you'll take the actual advice. So those are good, but that was difficult for me. Hey, we're here at Truth or Theory, right? Every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a safe space where we think differently, we dive deep, and we question everything in a fun, curious way. So tonight we have been talking about shadow work. We've been having a lot of fun, and it's been judgment-free. We have did our own it and deny it, and everybody has been, I love the feedback of also helping us to not only just be transparent and if we're on it or denying it, but any ways that we can actually kind of, help each other get out of some of those things that we have in common. We already talked about our shadow self having a nickname or a vibe. We've also kind of went over what the shadow is, why it's important, and how to not run from it, run to it. And so now we're going to keep it moving and go to, what are we at? Our next question about again, our shadow being its own thing, right? Its own entity. So Rose, what's our next question?
Right. Okay. So the next question, the third and final question, is if your shadow self could talk, what would it want people to understand about you? We're going to start with Royalty, then go to Mia, and then go to Nataki. If your shadow self could talk, what's one thing it would want people to understand about you, Royalty?
My shadow. I want people to understand that I might seem like an extra in the movie, but I'm really the main character.
Hey, come on.
Oh, what was it?
I need
the
that on
That's
the
hard.
what was his what was your shadow's nickname? The silent storm. What was it?
Unknown storm.
Unknown
Unknown storm. I love this. I love this. Okay, Mia, if your shadow self could talk, what's one thing it would want people to understand about you?
I am not something to be afraid of. I am a part of you that you disowned a long time ago because you thought it was wrong. But I actually hold the keys to your greatest power and your deepest treasure.
Gimme. Okay. Okay, Nataki. If your shadow self
okay.
could talk.
So I wrote it. I don't need to be fixed. I just need to be seen. My shadow self wants everyone to know that my intensity doesn't mean I'm angry. It means that I care. And my silence isn't shade, it's protection. And that I might come off strong, but there's a tender spirit under that armor. And I'm just trying to feel safe to be loved out loud. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Oh my goodness. That felt like
Oh,
poetry.
we killed that, y'all. We killed that.
Yeah, wait.
Great. No, that was great.
Yes,
That
I
was
love
great.
that. I don't need to be fixed. I just need to be seen.
That's it. That's it.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Okay, Lola. If your shadow self could talk, what's one thing it would want people to understand about you?
So first I wanted to acknowledge the comments. I see that Diablo said that my loyalty is a privilege to receive, not a right. I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. What else
Yeah.
do we have? Alicia, I might be hard
That's the key, right?
to read, but I'm definitely a book worth reading. I love that.
I love that.
Absolutely. For me, I did not give it much thought, but I think just off the top of my head, it's very similar with just, you know, I recognize that you put on this exterior sometimes, the armor, the toughness as protection. But if you embrace the divine protection, you could just be safe where you are, just to be your full self without having to be on guard all the time. I think that's what, my shadow would say.
That one tried to like snatch a tear out of me. I don't know what's going on. Like what's happening? I got some sweat. Okay.
We're on a journey. We're on a journey.
Okay, we're here.
You know, that was everyone's answers were so beautiful, and I feel like was talking to all of us.
I'm definitely
All our
activated.
shadows was like,
A for activated. Okay. So I wrote mine down too, Nataki. I said if my shadow self could talk, it would say, I'm not trying to intimidate. The pressure that I bring comes from a place of love. I see greatness in myself and in everyone around me. And sometimes I push hard because I believe in what we're capable of. It's never about control. It's more about me calling out the power that I know is there.
and now tears can just come.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was beautiful.
Let's all hug.
Absolutely. I think it's great just to at least to take that question and be just in tune enough to just to really say those things to ourselves is even just like we were saying, it's a very powerful thing to acknowledge. Our shadow does often hold the things that, like we said, sometimes we're afraid of, sometimes we've rejected it. Most times we're just not in tune with it. And so even like I was saying, just acting tough, but really it's some fear behind there. It may be abandonment, rejection issues, pushing people away when really you want connection. So it's like sometimes you're doing the opposite. That's like some self-sabotage going on. But the shadow work itself helps us to tell that truth. Sit in it, and really choose, like we've talked about on other truth or theories, just really developing new habits, manifesting, speaking things, you know what I'm saying, trying to switch that mindset so that we can really get into going deeper, because obviously we understand that it's not on the surface. It's not on the surface at all. We have to go deeper to really be our true selves, bring that to the surface, and then continue to work on our, because it's a continual journey. It's like it never stops.
Right.
As long as we are living out these existences, it's always going to be some type of shadow work that might have to be done. All right. Do we have time?
We do.
Oh, we do.
We have time. We are actually going to close out with Own It or Deny It.
One more, guys. One more to bring it home.
Let's do it. Well, you're going to do 2, and then I'm going to do the final 2.
The last one. Okay.
So we got 4 more, and we're good.
All right.
Okay.
Let's just jump on in after all of that. So again, A or B? A for shadow, yes. B for not at all. Downplay your wins so no one thinks that you're doing too much. Ooh, that's a good one. Absolutely not.
I get it though, because I did used to. Definitely used to.
It was a hard thing to break. I used to be
definitely.
Yeah. Sometimes when you are, when you're really comfortable with the multiness of you, multi-talented, people will put that on you, even when you're not trying to be that way. Like, oh, you doing too much, or who you think you are? Like, I'm just being me.
Don't let them dim your light.
Shadow. That's their shadow. They're not.
Don't let their shadow dim your light.
There you go.
They're not putting their grief, so they want you to feel bad for yours.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. That's really good.
But the way this society is set up, we're going to own our greatness.
We're gonna.
You have to. You said see because you can't tell.
Until because we're
Can't tell because we're looking forward. Oh my goodness.
Okay, the next one. You ignore your own needs to be easier to love. You ignore your own needs to be.
Why did I click this one?
I admit it. I still do.
I used to be a huge fan.
Because we are exposing the parts of ourselves that we would normally keep hidden. So this one was needed. Be not anymore. Yeah, I'm trying to get to that point.
I've identified all the things I need to work on. Thanks to Own It or Deny It.
I feel the same way. Literally, it's like staring me in the face. Like, oh,
yeah.
But we get to give ourselves grace, because if we do that, it's because we were severely neglected as children. So we weren't taught.
Yeah.
Amen to
that one. Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing wrong with owning it.
yes.
We're learning.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I love it though. I love the transparency. I love even the divide and everybody, being able to give like that different perspective on all of those. All right, Rose, how you feeling?
Yeah. Just in case anyone did just come in, welcome to Truth or Theory. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is a safe space where we think differently, we dive deep, and we question everything in a fun and a curious way. Tonight, we have been discussing the topic of shadow work. It's basically the process of understanding the hidden parts of ourselves that we usually avoid or keep hidden. We are moving on to the final questions of our game, Own It or Deny It. So A means that's me, I'm calling myself out. B is nah, it's not me. Okay, so you replay arguments in your head, imagining what you should have said.
Sure do. Sure do. But that's a forever thing. That is a forever thing. I ain't trying to work on it. I need to try to work on it.
That's actually your shadow saying, next time I'm gonna win.
That's right.
It's your shadow.
That is hilarious. Everybody was answering so fast.
Okay. The next one is you don't speak up in group settings, but you later feel invisible.
Okay, no. You gonna hear what I have to say.
Right. We're clearly,
You gonna hear me.
we're clearly all vocal here.
We are, yeah.
We're like, no, we don't do that.
Maybe you should have been quiet in that situation. I would have. Should have said less.
My voice
Yes.
is me power.
I love that. It is. Absolutely.
Lola, you can give a few practices or takeaways if you'd like, and then I'll lead us with the outro.
Absolutely. So if anybody's into journaling, I know again, when we talk about meditation, we talk about scripting. For those of us that do like to write, a prompt that you can use is what parts of me do I try to hide or fix around others? And I definitely would suggest you to just free write. Don't think too much about it. That is the question that you're asking yourself. But just, write, see what comes out. And you might surprise yourself. If you're into affirmations, doing them in the mirror is a good practice. And I feel like you can say, I am allowed to be whole, not perfect. I really like that one. We're talking about showing up as our whole self, because we know it's all these different parts, talking about the shadow self, going to that place and integrating that back into, who we are. And triggers, right? We're talking about triggers, understanding what they are and how they be useful. So you can ask yourself again, what does this reaction say about me? Okay, observing those reactions with curiosity and not shame. Don't do that to yourself. Don't put yourself back in that space of ignoring it. The trigger again is that pain, it's that indicator, it's that signal to some of the things that in the shadow that you need to kind of, go to. And then encourage yourself with some kindness. We are the hardest on ourselves, right? Sometimes it takes us a long time to self-identify because we are mirrors to each other. So sometimes we see other people's stuff before we see our own. But then once we do get to that point and we are really looking at ourselves, don't beat yourself up. The best thing you can do is to offer yourself that kindness, because shadow work isn't about, remember, we're not trying to fix ourselves. We are trying to find our full self. And so those are some takeaways about triggers, some mirror exercises, and some journaling that you can use, as a practice and it's so many different things, but those are just some we wanted to share. Especially for those who have joined us tonight who said they weren't familiar with shadow work and you want to figure out how to do that. I think all of us have said some things, but those are some things you can use. If you want to go there, you can go there. All right.
I love that.
Recommendation for shadow work.
Absolutely.
Yes, got that.
It's called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Deborah Ford. There's also a movie, like a documentary style movie with like all those personal development people.
So put it in the chat now, Mia, and then don't forget to put it on IG as well in the chat, because we love to try to go back and make sure everybody has those resources.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone who tuned in tonight for Truth or Theory. It was a great topic discussing the different elements of shadow work. I do want to say that we will not be doing this show next week. We will be coming back the following week. Hopefully we can be back and we'll be featured by then. If not, we are in the process of being featured. So just know there's stuff going on in the background. If anyone would like to be added to the group chat on Instagram that's not in it yet, let us know. If you want to be a part of a conversation, let us know. We appreciate everyone that's here, all our guests in the box, everyone that comes and helps keep the stream going, our admin, Emoji J, our lovely co-host Lola. Thank you all.
Absolutely. It's been awesome. Now it's time
Can
to get
we, yeah, let's get a screenshot. Let's do that.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
All right, now we got a gift. Again.
Okay, try again.
All right, did we get it? Did we get it?
Do it. Do we do it?
Somebody better got it. It's definitely on the video, guys. I watched the video a few times last week of us doing this screenshot. Like, it's a priceless moment. It's actually a priceless moment. But everybody have a beautiful night. I am going to get off of here. I'm starving. My stomach is touching my back.
Good night.
Good night. Good
Your
night.
butt call us again.
Right.
That was an accident. Somebody was looking at me. I don't know who it was, but I was eating and I was talking about how it was melting in my mouth. And I just saw somebody looking at me. I was like, who did I call?
The entire group chat.
Right.
That is
The entire group chat, not one person. Okay, guys, I'm getting out of here.
Good night, everybody.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
See y'all later.